guts of South Africa's earth have been overturned. Centuries of mining have brought to the surface shiny and valuable things, fossil fuels and rare metals. These have defined our economy, our labour migration, markets, jobs and environmental impact. As court cases challenge foreign exploration and government refines the power and balance between multinational and homegrown mining houses, as unions fight over the spoils, as communities ask, what's in it for us? We ask, can mining be environmentally sustainable and a driver of growth, or is something always destined to be lost? I'm Madam Speaker. Thank you for joining us. Our panel on this show is Melita Steele, Senior Climate and Energy Campaign Manager for Greenpeace Africa, Dr. Shingirirai Mutanga, who's a contributor to the future of mining in South Africa. And here is my jury. Hopefully they're going to be feisty tonight. Geologist Claudia Ngwekazi, Johan Lonrenzen, Richard Spoor, attorneys, and Ted Blom, who's a mining and energy expert. He's leaving early in the morning for Nelspruit tomorrow. So hopefully he's going to be energized by our show tonight. Let's start with you, Shingirirai. And I think what's important to state is that the picture of mining in South Africa, as we all know, is troubled. Output has been declining, so the backdrop in the context of mining is a little bit glum at the moment, and this is stretching back 7 years or so. We had the numbers from StatsSA, annual decrease of 3,000 employees in mining and quarrying. Are we choosing survival in the mining industry over values and country commitments, community commitments, do you think?
I think we basically in the toughest times of our time, because the future of mining in South Africa, and maybe the continent at large, is actually, like we put it, largely contested space. You have wide-ranging views from multiple quarters, rarely intersecting at all, and owing to quite a number of questions, which we tried to and interrogate and that's called in a book that we wrote, The Future of Mining in South Africa, which we titled The Sunrise or Sunset.
But where is the focus balance? Is it skewed more towards the interests of miners in our country or towards country duty and community commitment?
It's actually both axes, because we realize that there's a growing realization that there's need to balance between the interests of the country and also benefiting the communities actually that are surrounding the mining areas which we have.
Melissa, let's bring you in for your opening scene set. Has mining been good for South Africa? And I'm asking specifically with reference to creating balance and justice between production, the environment, and communities.
So I think mining is a really tricky subject in South Africa. But I'll take coal mining as an example. So coal mining, we built our economy. It was the backbone of our economy. But as far as Greenpeace is concerned, just because we've always done something doesn't mean we should continue to do something. And what's become very clear is that, for example, coal mining is driving climate change, which is one of the biggest existential crises in the world. And some of that coal has to remain in the ground, in South Africa, in countries around the world. And so I think we need to be looking at things like decent jobs. How are we creating situations where development is actually contributing to human well-being, not just creating money for some people rather than the majority?
All right, so if it has been, Shingirirai, sort of marginal, the benefits have been marginal, I imagine that they skewed largely on the side of those who are the producers and those who are governing output itself. What is it that keeps the balance? Is balance possible, number one? And what is it in South Africa, in the South African context, that is aimed at maintaining that kind of balance?
Firstly, I need to underscore the need for well-being, which is one of the fundamental questions that we try to address in the books, Sunrise or Sunset. And how can we shift away from low-skilled, labor-intensive skills, and how can mining affected communities actually and the nation benefit equitably? And to strike the balance, if you just put it, it has proven not to be an easy process. Given the circumstances actually that we find our country.
What makes it hard?
Because there are quite a number of exogenous factors actually that we find affecting the communities. Looking for instance, if you look trace back the mining industry, as she rightly put it, at the beginning of the mining industry, you'd realize that there are a plethora of challenges that we have within our communities owing to the challenges that we faced on abandoned mines, for instance, that have been existing for years, and the ramifications that we have right now on the communities or on the environment per se, which needs to be addressed vis-a-vis the emerging trends of the mining that is happening now to provide to the country and the nation at large.
Melissa, go straight back in.
So I think the profit motive is what makes the balance around mining difficult. So you have people trying to extract as much value as possible from something by paying as little as possible. And that's when you have affected communities who do not benefit.
But it's happening in a country which has laws, is in some cases seen to be responsive. We'll talk a little bit later about the obligations around rehabilitation. We'll talk later about the social and labour programs that they're beholden to. So in a country where it has laws, it has policies, how come they get away with that?
How did state capture happen in South Africa? It happens. When money is involved, you can have the best constitution, the best laws, but if those laws are not being implemented, and if money and profit is behind it, then people's well-being will always lose.
Okay, we'll take a closer look at those insulation factors in just a second when my jury weighs in. This is Madam Speaker. Do not move.